So this morning I wanted to talk to you about something that I think is really interesting. I've talked in the past about the fact that people have different levels of energy that they exude, different levels of exuberance, different levels of engagement, and something that I have struggled with is how much of my energy to let show. So how much of my how much of my enthusiasm is too much enthusiasm? How much of my passion is too much passion? How much of my happiness is too much happiness? And I've struggled with this idea of how much of me is too much my whole life. And it's really interesting to live a life constantly filtering what you perceive to be your best self, constantly questioning what is going to be too much and trying to live up to that. So because of that, I often feel like I walk around with functioning with a dimmer switch. So if I had this little dimmer switch on my arm, I'd be like, okay, I'm in this person's presence, I'm going to pump this up because it's safe to do so. I'm in this person's presence, it's not safe to do so, I'm going to bring it down to half. This person, I'm going to go down to a quarter. And I'm constantly varying who I am and my emotional levels based on how I think other people will receive it. And I think that particularly as women, but it's very possible that gender isn't an issue, but certainly as women, we are ingrained to take care of other people. It's ingrained in us that we need to be nice. We need to not offend. We need to take care of other people, and we need to play nice. You know what I mean? Good morning, Gavin. And I think that has a lot to do with our emotional dimmer switch. And so it has taken me 45 years, and I really hope it doesn't take you even one more day to realize that we can have empathy and compassion with regards to how we operate our dimmer switch. If we are in the presence of someone who has just lost their job, we're not going to flip that on high and say, I just got the job of my life, my dreams. Obviously, we're going to have compassion, we're going to have social etiquette. But it's taken me 45 years to realize that being too much of something is totally a social construct, because being too enthusiastic to someone is inspirational to someone else, and being playing your music too loud to one person, it's not loud enough to the other person who's rocking out with you. So I've decided to flip this switch on high. And for those people who it becomes too much for, and I'm going to have compassion, I'm going to be socially aware, and there might be fluctuations, but I am going to, and I encourage you to flip that switch up. And if you are to this, to that, to this, to that for someone else, I would suggest that that's the other person's work. Do you know what I mean? So if I care too much about this topic, you don't have to care about that as much with me. That's your work and your choice and your realm to move and expand and operate in other circles. If I am too much that way, then that's your perception of too much. So by constantly flicking the switch up and down, guessing what is too much for everyone, I'm living my life like this. And that is simply no way to be. So I guess my whole point is that be authentically who you are. And for those people who don't understand it, it's up to them whether they want to try to. It's up to them whether they want to be a part of it. It's up to them whether they want to embrace it or reject it. But any way you put it, that's their work. It's not up to you to have to explain who you are. It's not up to you to have to justify your motivations. And it's not up to you to have to be less than what feels right because of how it might make other people feel. We've all been there. We've all been there. I'll walk into a room and I'll see someone and their light is so bright that my dimmer switch will start to fade. It's up to me to catch that and say, no, I can love how bright they are. I can respect how bright they are. I can appreciate all of that in them without bringing my switch down. You know, my switch can stay on high and still acknowledge that other people's are on maximum too. You know? So I hope that made sense. It's something I'm going to keep thinking about and thinking about how to maybe explain it even clearer. I don't know if it made any sense at all. But for now, I encourage you to flick your switch on high. Be who you are. You know, obviously have compassion, but make no apologies and don't feel a need to explain who you are to anyone. I love this. This is so inspiring. Makes a lot of sense. I hope so. Sometimes when I ramble, without seeing other people's facial expressions, without having a two-way conversation, it's hard to know. So thank you for that feedback. Go out and talk to people about their dimmer switches and, you know, open up a conversation, because I certainly don't know everything. But I think it's worth a conversation. And if you're having some sort of conflict or if you're being met with resistance, think about, is my whatever being perceived as too much to this person? And sometimes it's worth trying to help them feel less threatened, and sometimes it's not your job to do so. And it's not about you to begin with. So I am going to operate feeling less obligation to make other people feel okay with who I am, and just do the best I can with who I am and what I have moving forward. So have a fantastic day, everybody. I really appreciate you joining in. Enjoy this beautiful weather. Drink lots of water. You know, have an afternoon nap. Read something inspiring. Paint a picture. Whatever feels good for you. Take care.